Welcome. Hi, I'm Matt Denhart, the Executive Director at the Coolidge Presidential Foundation over in nearby Plymouth Notch, Vermont. I'm joined today by two of my colleagues. On my left immediately, Rob Hammer, and on his left, Diane Kemble. Diane's our Education Director, and Rob is our Program Manager, and we're here today to tell you about an upcoming program. President Coolidge, of course, as all our viewers here know, was the 30th President of the United States, serving from 1923 to 1929. And we'll honor him and the other presidents on February 19th for President's Day. We have a special program, and we invite all to come. It's free and open to the public right in Plymouth Notch. We hope you'll come see us. And I'm now going to turn to Rob, who will tell us some about what's going on February 19th. Rob.
Yeah, so we have a lot of great events going on the 19th. As you might know, the Coolidge Historic Site is typically closed during the winter months. But on the 19th, it'll be open. Now, some of the buildings will still be closed, but you can still, go around the village and see buildings such as Calvin Coolidge's birthplace and the homestead where he grew up and was inaugurated by his father in 1923. In addition, the Visitor Center will also be open, which has a year-round exhibit that kind of shows Calvin Coolidge's life from growing up in Plymouth Notch all the way to the presidency. So you'll be able to check that out as well. Additionally, the Plymouth Cheese Factory will be open. So if you want to come up there and buy some cheese, it'd be a great time to do that.
Or have samples, right?
Or have samples. They do have samples.
And I understand, Diane, they're now making brie as well.
Brie,
Diane's
which is delicious.
tried it.
Very good. Yes.
Good.
So lots to do in the village. In addition, we have a number of presentations going on throughout the day. At 1 p.m., Diane will give a presentation on this year's Calvin Writing Prize. The topic is civil rights. At 2 p.m., William Jenny, who's the Coolidge Site Administrator, he'll give a presentation on the rotating exhibit in the Coolidge Visitor Center. This year it'll be on the Coolidge Summer White Houses. And then at 2:15, our main event, where Coolidge portrayer Mr. Tracy Messer will be performing George Washington Revisited, and he'll be doing that as Calvin Coolidge. So Diane, would you like to explain a little bit more about that?
Sure. Well, Tracy Messer is a fairly new Coolidge reenactor, about a year or so, I think.
Right. Folks might be familiar with Jim Cook, who's since retired his act.
Yes, who is now playing John Quincy Adams.
That's right.
But so Tracy has put a tremendous amount of work, research into this speech. And as a former teacher, actually I'm still a teacher, I guess, I find it particularly interesting that Calvin Coolidge was speaking to the National Education Association, and he did that on George Washington's birthday, February 22nd, 1926.
Right.
And there are some wonderful, wonderful quotes in that speech, and really shows the depth of, I think, Coolidge's intellect and his appreciation for how important education is to grow and inform citizenry. And so I have one quote that I've selected that I think really says quite a lot. He, meaning Washington, wished to see his country not only materially prosperous and politically successful, but beyond that and above it, he wished to see the intellectual, moral, and spiritual life of the people developed. So George Washington, at the time, at the beginning of our country, was saying how important education was, and not only the intellectual development of people, but their moral and their spiritual life as well. And that's something that was really part of Coolidge as well. So he spoke about that speech in his address on Washington's birthday to the National Education Association. So as many of you probably know, Calvin Coolidge embraced technology in his day. He was the first president who spoke directly to the American people by radio. He also was the first president that people saw in the movies. When they would go to see a movie, there would be a newsreel with Coolidge. And so Tracy Messer, as Coolidge, will be using PowerPoint to show us. And I'm sure Calvin Coolidge would have approved of that as well.
Down.
Yes, so it's a very interesting address, and we're really looking forward to it and hope that you can join us.
Great, thank you. So I think this is really going to be a great presentation. Tracy Messer has performed now several times as Calvin Coolidge, but he's still getting his feet under him, and so we hope a lot of people here, I think, in the area maybe haven't seen him perform yet. A lot of his performances have been in New Hampshire. He did perform in Plymouth Notch last year on the 4th of July, but for many this will be the first time, so I hope people will come and see Tracy and see him as Calvin and performing George Washington, or his performing Calvin Coolidge's 1926 speech, which was about, as Diane told us, George Washington and the importance of education. So again, February 19, President's Day, actually President's Day itself. We hope you'll come join us. Plymouth Notch, it's free. We'll be open from noon to 4 p.m. with presentations at 1 and 2 o'clock. So come honor America's history and presidents and Calvin Coolidge, and we hope to see you in Plymouth Notch.